husband has always grown up in the suburbs, and so when we were looking to buy our first home, I was like, I'm not moving to the suburbs. I'm a city girl. Like, I need the noises. I actually need to hear sirens. If I don't hear sirens and dare say sometimes gunshots, it just doesn't feel right to me, because that's all I knew for most of my life. And so we were looking all around, and everyone gave us the same spiel. Oh, you know, these are the places to avoid. Don't come out there. And I was like, okay, so those are going to be the first places that we look to. And even our realtor was like, I don't really know this area, so I don't know what to tell you. And I did have the wrong realtor, but I came to the right place. And so we just kept on. It was like something just kept on bringing us back to this area, and I loved it. And this is where we've been starting out our life together. So this is more than my home. This is like my starting point as well. My business has been open for a year, and we have worked with over 40 clients. And we actually have another 20 clients that are coming in for 2018. My website is www.cadoganassociate.com, and that's CADOGANASSOCIATE.com. And then on Twitter, you can look me up, and I have the name Small Biz with Liz.
We have our esteemed chairman here tonight, and I am so glad he, when others would have probably canceled because of weather, this demonstrates the commitment he has to moving the District of Columbia forward.
You know, I was asked to talk about several different issues. I'm going to start with this one because I know that it directly relates to Ward 7, and that is the streetcar and what's going on with the streetcar. You remember that over the last decade and a half, the city's moved forward in a kind of a fitful way with the streetcar. We've put hundreds of millions of dollars into it. It's very controversial. There are some people who love it to death, and there are other people who think it's the biggest waste of money. What the council did over the last couple of years is we cut back the streetcar program, so that the only part of the program that we want to see operating is the 8th Street Benning line. And that is from Union Station all the way over to the Benning Road Metro stop. So it needs to be completed. It's not completed, and there's dollars in there. I know at one point there was some discussion that the council was trying to cut out the extension to the subway. That is not the case. It's hard to get accurate numbers from the Department of Transportation, but the numbers that we got, the dollars that we put into the capital improvement plan, we'll see the subway, not subway, the streetcar line completed. I think that what we've seen with regard to the subway on 8th Street, the connection when it's completed, is one that will be quite unique to the commercial areas that are along the streetcar line. That's a good thing, but I think the dollars that we're putting in to put that many more dollars in for extending it to Georgetown and up Georgia Avenue, we just don't have the money for that, particularly when we have other needs, pressing needs. Affordable housing, I was asked to speak to that. The mayor has pushed the city in a good direction by setting a mark of $100 million a year to be put into the Housing Production Trust Fund. In fact, now the debate is some people want us to put more than that per year in the Housing Production Trust Fund. If you take the $100 million for that and the tens of millions of dollars that we spend in other ways related to housing and affordable housing, we spend, if I remember correctly, over $200 million a year on affordable housing. Frankly, I think that we're not spending that money efficiently or effectively. We're not getting the dollars out the door quickly enough. If we're doing loans, we're not getting the loans repaid. We're not looking at what is the most competitive price we can get on a per unit basis, if you will, with our affordable housing. We're not spending our money well, but we are at least putting aside significant amount of money. And if we could get to spending it better, we would get even better results in terms of more affordable housing. Everybody at the council believes that our city benefits from the diversity, the economic diversity of having wealthy people, middle-income people, and lower-income people in the city. That is part of what makes a city, in my view and my colleagues' view, rich. With regard to small business development, I came in with my partner, Anna Harvey, who's the director of DSLBD. I think that DSLBD... You're getting more applause than I am.
She's been here before, too.
I think DSLBD was great under her for a couple of reasons, one of which was that DSLBD was actively going out into the community. And when I say the community, I don't mean the McLean Gardens Residents Association, but I mean Minnesota Avenue businesses, and talking to them, working with them, and understanding what the city could do to help those businesses. The city's not good at that. We've been horrible at it in the past, and I'm hopeful that we don't slip back to that, I'm going to say, I hope we don't slip back to that laziness where we're not out there, because we need to. You know, businesses, particularly small businesses, they're busy trying to figure out how they can keep the doors open, the lights on, and make some money. And so it's better if we go to them and say, what do you need, than if we just sit in our offices and wait for them to come to us. The Main Street program, the council has expanded over the last few years, so that we have more main streets. I think that many of my colleagues don't really understand the program, because where we see it, it's successful, and that's great. But in order for the Main Streets program to work, businesses have got to be working together. And then there's got to be evidence that they have the ability to work together, and that by working together, they actually will create greater value. And we've seen that in many business areas, but there has to be that commitment and participation by businesses. It's not enough for me to just sit down and say, oh, I think I want this street to be a Main Street. So I'm concerned that that program may falter, but I think it's a great program, and we put additional dollars in it for the current year, and we want to see that there are more Main Street, I'm going to say, communities across the city. I do not know what's going to happen with the Trump tax cuts in terms of the district. To give you a sense of how crazy the whole thing is, just remember we're told that this is a tax reduction. What Congress passed was a tax reduction. Our CFO estimates that the city will get an additional $80 million a year. So much for tax reduction. And I don't know, as I'm standing here, what exactly that means. How much of that is businesses or individuals, how we're going to react, the council. You know, on the individual side, we increased the standard deduction and personal exemption to what had been the federal level, which was a significant benefit to low and middle income people. But I don't think we have the ability to increase it again to what the federal level is now. And for sure, I don't want to see that we are increasing taxes that anybody's paying. Again, remember, we're getting $80 million more. So we're going to be working through that. I think that's really the message I'm trying to convey here, is that we're going to get an analysis from our CFO, and then we're going to figure out how we want to, what adjustments we want to make in the district. We're not interested in increasing anybody's taxes, and we have to be careful about if there are reductions that we can't afford. Let me take questions if that's okay. Yes.
Mr. Mendelson, I really thank you for coming out. I did not hear you say anything about workforce, so that's what I'm begging for this city. The linkage to infrastructure and to affordable housing is jobs. And the money that could be budgeted for training, I've talked to you about this, I've testified at Walter Reed. The people in Walter Reed don't really want people from West 7 coming up there to work up there. But we need a training center in Ward 7 and Ward 8. We have put together a training protocol for 5 classes. I've given that to you. I'm just asking, can we have a meeting, because the people need jobs, sir. And I just want to build a relationship so that the community can get jobs in this city to stay and live here. So I'm begging you, please, to have a meeting with me so that we can give you a plan of action for the community. That's all we're asking.
Sure, I'd be happy to sit down with you. I didn't talk about that, and I should have. Let me mention a couple of things. We have the Workforce Investment Council, and I think the the WIC was, the WIC has not been a great entity over the years, but I think it really was making substantial improvements, and then in the last year or two, it seems to have
What has actually happened, sir, is that when administrations change, the WIC leaders change.
Yes.
I put together programs for UDC, and when UDC drops programs, then other programs don't move forward. It's a consistency that, just like you have the CFO planning on infrastructure, some kind of plan could be done possibly for jobs linking to how that infrastructure can be put into place. It's just a
There
thought.
should be, but you're right. The leadership of WIC and DOES changed, and I think it didn't need to change, but it did. You know, sometimes elected officials think, well, you know, now that I'm in office, I can just bring my own people in, instead of thinking, you know, is this person doing a good job? Let's hold on to that person. That was a mistake. DOES leaves millions of dollars on the table, year after year after year. And I'm not convinced that the workforce programs that they do pay for are as effective as they should be. You know, it's not enough for us to just put, I don't know, $1 million towards something. We want it to be effective. I used the phrase before, effective and efficient. And I'm not convinced it is. But you know, we had a hearing, now this is going to sound like a stretch when I first mentioned this, but we had a hearing 2 weeks ago on Baloo. And you know, the news about Blue and the kids graduating, and 57 of them were not expected to graduate. They were performing that badly, and then they graduated anyway. Alyssa Silverman, who's the at-large council member who chairs our Labor and Workforce Development Committee, she questioned the chancellor from this perspective, that the biggest need in the city for our residents is jobs. And when they graduate from our school system and they're not equipped, they don't have the soft skills and they don't actually know how to read and do math, then they can't get jobs. And that's so true. So part of our workforce training has got to be improving our school system. Now, that's a long-term strategy, but we've been working on that long-term strategy for a long time. And I've made it clear to the chancellor that my patience is drying up there.
I appreciate you, I applaud you, I thank you for coming out tonight. We're gonna give you one of our great pens, and it says, you can read it. And this is our motto, I stick to it, making Ward 7 flourish.